Happy Sunday, happy Sunday, happy Sunday. I just finished a run, and as always, on my runs, I listen to podcasts. And when I run, I get super clear, and I can hear what's going on in the podcast, and I feel like I get these downloads from my highest self or from wherever it's coming from. These feels into my heart and my chest that I want to share with everyone and see if it resonates with you. And normally it resonates with at least one person. So here goes. I was listening to the Aubrey Marcus podcast, and he was interviewing his good friend Corey Allen, and they were talking about intuition, and he came up with a scenario where intuition can be bad. And he gave a scenario of his former partner, and when they were monogamous, she came over and she was just going to shower, and she saw a quote-unquote feminine type shampoo in the shower, and she accused him essentially of it being someone else's, and she realized later that it was hers, and it was a friend of hers that she brought over the last time. Anyways, when he said that, I was like, that's not coming from intuition. That's her coming from fear and coming from ego. And so that made me think about the difference between intuition and an ego, essentially. When we have, for me at least, when I feel something coming from a place of intuition, I feel it like in my solar plexus, so right underneath the breastbone, for me, right underneath my boobs, like right in the center of my thorax. I don't know what that part of the body's called, essentially. Anyways, so right above my abs and right below my breasts, solar plexus. I normally feel it there, and it goes between there and my heart. So when I feel a thought, or if I hear words in my head and I feel it come, like there's like a spark that happens, it's not a bad feeling. It's not a bad like electrical shock, but it's a feeling I get in my chest, and then I just know that that's intuition versus, hey Courtney, I know that that's intuition versus it coming from my head, being my ego. And so when I feel something from my heart space, I know that that's coming from a space that'll help me on my path, versus it coming from my head. It's normally based in fear or in past experiences. And so when I don't listen to my intuition, the lesson to learn from whatever it was telling me is that much more difficult to learn. The experience that I have, it's almost like an added obstacle or an added layer of lesson learning, and it's not always easy. But if I would have listened to my intuition, it probably would have been an easier, smoother ride. And the intuition isn't based in fear, it's based in love, and that's why I feel like it comes from my heart space. And so how do you designate between the mind and the heart, and how do you designate between fear and intuition? For me, it's been practice one of meditation, and two of really understanding and having conversations with my body and being really in tune with my body. And that's been helpful from yoga and working out and meditation and running. I feel like those four, and dance, like anything that has to do with the body, being aware of moves and where placement of things are, will help have an understanding of where things feel in the body. And I think for me, it really opened up when I did yoga teacher training, because you learn how to cue for those things. Like, how does this feel in your chest? How does this feel in your back? How does this feel in your knees? If you're overextending, let up by doing this and providing adjustments and modifications. And the same thing with working out, and the same thing for running. Like, if it doesn't feel good in the body, or if you feel, you have to be very aware in certain motions in order for you to not get hurt. And same thing with sports. Like, all of these things with movement in the body are so interrelated. And so being aware of how things feel in the body, and then having that meditation practice, always coming back to presence and knowing how certain messages you can feel in your heart and your solar plexus space versus it being a thought in your ego and coming from the head. And you have to have that relationship with your ego because it's there to keep you safe and to protect you, but also have a relationship with your heart in that space and have them work together. Because if we always come from a place of ego, we're never going to, if we always come from a place of ego, it's not going to be the most fulfilling life. It's always going to be about the bottom line. That's what's coming through. But if you come from your heart space and you come from a place of love, that's where the bliss happens. And that's when you come from a place of wanting the best for everyone. Even though you're taking care of yourself and you're healing yourself and you're doing things because you feel it within your heart space, it'll cause a ripple effect for the greater good and the interweb of energy that happens. So, intuition versus fear. Get to know your body, meditate, move, get to know where things feel in the body. And the other thing that we should probably talk about too is diet. You can't have a clear mind and a clear heart and a clear relationship with your body if you're not eating well. So if you're eating processed foods, if you're eating non-organic foods, like you're just filling your body with chemicals, and that messes up with the flow of energy. It messes with your cells. It messes with the connections of everything and the way the body processes. So clean water, clean food. And that's not to say that you can't indulge sometimes, but it's best to teach your body, or to treat your body like a temple. So if you go to church and you don't swear in church and you dress up nicely, like, do that for your body with the way that you take care of it, with the food, with your movement, with your meditation, and with what you consume, whether it's music, conversations, things like that. Come from a place of love for yourself, and essentially love for everyone else. Hope that resonates. Much love.